Absolute wealth. Real investors, real results.
Welcome to the Gorrie Details Weekly Wrap. I'm James R. Gorrie, Managing Editor at AbsoluteWealth.com. Now, as many of you know, I write the Gorrie Details, which is a daily column on events that impact the market and the economy worldwide. Okay, so what I want to announce right now is we have a Comment of the Week contest for the next 4 or 5 weeks. Each week we'll give out a gift, a nice gift, to the Comment of the Week. Okay, so beginning this week and for the next 4 or 5 weeks, we'll do that each one. And I will pick the winner, so make your comments clever, intelligent, sharp, insightful. You don't have to agree with me, totally disagree with me, or whatever it might be, but just whoever gives the best comment will get a nice gift. And this gift this week is going to be a stainless steel engraved money clip. So with all the stimulus dollars floating around, it's a great way to hold on to those dollars. Joke, right? Okay, now let's get to it. Two main points this week in the Gorrie Details were: one, Operation Twist, the Federal Reserve's latest adventure into stimulation and stimulating the economy with new dollars. And what they're doing now is refinancing short-term debt into lower-term, long-term debt and pumping about $286 billion more dollars into the economy. Now, two things. What is Operation Twist supposed to do, and has been successful? Well, as I said, Operation Twist number one is supposed to get money into the economy. Now, what's really happened with not just Operation Twist, but basically all the quantitative easing, has been the money has stayed at the higher level of the economy, the banking, the high economy, the banks and the corporate sector. Banks have gotten the money. They're not lending out to businesses so much. They're putting it in the stock market, or they're buying T-bills, or they're just getting paid interest on excess reserves from the Fed. So that hasn't changed. Operation Twist won't change. Okay. The other thing about the economy and the Federal Reserve's action is that the additional monies are supposed to devalue the dollar. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, if we devalue the dollar, then that makes American goods and services more competitive on the world market. Okay. Now, has that been successful? The answer is no. If it had been successful, our employment rate would be going down instead of up. The housing market would be recovering. And of course, Europe would be importing more goods from us, not less. And European exports, as you know, maybe you don't know, but they're plunging. They're not working well. So Operation Twist, like the other QE plans before them, quantitative easing plans before them, they've all been a failure. And this will be a failure too. Okay, second point, a little more interesting, is the war games off the coast of Syria. What's that? Well, next month, Russia, China, Iran, and Syria will be involved in war games. Now, this is a historic first. China's never been in the Middle East. The war games are going to involve 90,000 troops, 1,000 tanks. Don't know what the Chinese are going to bring, but the Iranians will certainly be there. And this is kind of a big deal. Not only does it set the stage for those 4 countries to coordinate themselves and with each other and get used to what they're doing together. That's a team-building exercise. But it's also in the backdrop of the Syrian negotiations right now. As you know, the Assad regime is under attack by the rebels, and the U.S. is funding the rebels. So there's kind of a big push there. It's a pushback from Russia and China against the U.S. presence in the Middle East as a whole, not just Syria. Okay, so we'll want to see, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to react? Now, there's another aspect of this, another facet, a little deeper, and that is, ask yourself the question, who is the target audience for those war games? It's certainly not us. That's obvious. It can be somebody else. And I think it's the Saudis. Here's why. Back in 1975, the U.S. cut a deal with the Saudis to create the petrodollar. And in a nutshell, what that means is that the Saudis will agree to sell oil through OPEC on the world market, but you must have dollars. So oil can only be bought with dollars. So what that does for the U.S. dollar is it creates instant demand. And from 1975 onward, we haven't had a gold-backed dollar, we've had an oil-backed dollar. The second point of that was that the Saudi Arabians have pretty much invested most of their assets, their reserves, their revenues from their oil sales into U.S. Treasury bills, again, which creates a permanent guaranteed demand for U.S. Treasury bills. So by forcing our hand, or by coalition and holding war games, it's a game of intimidation. And the Russians and the Chinese want to show the Saudi Arabians that, hey, that deal you have with the U.S. for mutual defense and selling oil for dollars only, that may not work because remember, the Saudis are looking for the U.S. to defend them and to protect them. Okay, so that's the quid pro quo. Sell the oil on the world market for dollars and buy U.S. Treasury bills for revenues. Hey, but U.S., you've got to defend us. Okay, so that quid pro quo is at stake here. And that's the real reason China, Russia, Iran, and Syria are doing these war games. And look, they just don't want to break the dollar, which is what would happen. The petrodollar goes away, the dollar goes away. But also, they're going to have something to replace it. And they have been meeting the last couple of months. Iran, China, Russia have had secret talks about creating a new currency, and probably gold-backed and based on their collective economies. So those are the two things we talked about today. Disagree, have a comment, have an insight I missed, please leave your comment of the week at Facebook, Absolute Wealth, or you can reach me at Twitter at Absolute Wealth, hashtag the Gorrie Details. So that's the weekly wrap for this week. I'll see you next week, and we'll announce the winner next week. And until then, this is James R. Gorrie at Absolute Wealth. Thanks.